Welcome to Scoop World Order, KJ Bolden edition. It is about time to heat up for him. He is August 5th is the next big commitment for Ohio State. Aaron Scott is in the bag. We are an absolute terror recruiting right now. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. But if we go 3 for 3 with these next three cats, it is going to be maybe the best class in Ohio State history. So we're going to break that down. Camp starts on Thursday. If any of you lucky people paid $30 to go watch them play football with no pads on, congratulations. You get to go to the first 2 days of practice and stand there and watch them do something. I think they'll do a little bit of group work, but without pads on, you're a little limited. But, you'll get to see these guys up close and personal, get after it, strut their stuff while everybody's still feeling good. That's the funny thing about the first couple of days of camp is they're not physical because you're not in pads and everybody feels fresh and happy and excited. So you'll see some pretty crisp ball, I would imagine, the first couple days. So that being said, as always, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you to our new subscribers on BuckeyesCoop.com as well. We are on a tear right now, so we appreciate you guys signing up for the best content in the game. Nevada Buck, Bill the Bank Green, the Oracle, Helping Technician is back. We've got a lot. We've got an arsenal of people that are bringing the heat right now. If you guys want a great experience, a good, fun, clean message board, BuckeyesCoop.com is your spot. Again, it is fantastic. And it's not an accident that it's growing right now. And we appreciate all you guys that are signing up for the season, for the 1-year pass. Again, it's a great gift as well. So we appreciate that. If you enjoy our YouTube content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. We just blitzed past 20,000 subscribers, which is amazing. We appreciate all your support. And if you like our live shows, click the little dinner bell. You'll get a little alert on your phone when we go live so you guys can interact with us. We appreciate all you regulars that are with us every night. You guys know who you are. I try to shout you guys out often. And as always, shout out where you guys are from. We love reading where you guys are at. That being said, I'm going to bring in my good friend, Nevada. Nevada, how are you tonight?
Well, I'm doing great. Ryan Day announced that they were going to auction off the first play call of the season against the Indiana game. And so I decided I'm going to bid on that and win that and make the first play call of the season for Ohio State. And it's going to be awesome. And I'm so excited. This is a great day. Great day for the Scoop. Great day for Burt Carton and great day for Nevada Buck. We get to make a call the first play of the season.
Is it gonna be like a jet sweep to Jim Knowles right off the edge, like for the first touchdown of the year, so that he can score, that he can spike the ball at the media people that are so mean to him?
I might just call Dave as kind of a tribute to you.
Put Stud in at guard and have him pull around and just blow somebody up. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, as a tribute to that 2007 Michigan game that you're so fond of. I know you're really proud of that game, the 14-3 game, the game where you didn't throw a pass in the second half.
We didn't.
Just ground him out. I think I might just call Dave just as a salute, as a kind of a silent tribute to Burt Carton. And hey, the fact that Ryan Day's considering auctioning that off, there's sort of a little bit of creativity in the NL. It's probably a rules violation. They're probably not going to go with it. But something, I'm going to think about it. I'm going to be happy just for tonight, just thinking about it.
I think it's creative. Again, no one's going to care about the first play. I'm sure it'll be something simple to Marvin Harrison. I mean, it'll be like a little menu where it's like, okay, you can throw it to Marvin, you can hand it to Emeka on it. It'll be some safe, easy play. They're not going to run some, oop-de-oop, hook and ladder, that could get, picked off and ran back for a pick six. I mean, that'd be amazing if we called it some gimmick play and it got picked off and ran back to the house. But it's Indiana. Nobody cares. I'm honestly surprised they're not doing it for a home game because, the road game at Indiana is kind of eh. But you do it for, Youngstown State. The people that are calling it could probably be down on the sideline with a little headset on and, do the little signaling, the little, trips right, Z over, motion, cross, doggy dog, whatever. And then they just, hand it to Travion or whatever. But I'm excited to see what these guys got. I know I am very fond of that '07 game because it was the most miserably cold I've ever been in my life. It was freezing rain. It sucked. I honestly used to hate rain and snow and all of that because, when I played with Ted Ginn and Gonzo, I knew that Teddy couldn't catch the ball if it was freezing rain and snowy. So we were going to be, it takes away half your offense when you do that. So, in '07, we couldn't really throw the ball very well. So we were completely fine with it.
Wait a second now. So you're complaining the mighty Bert
Yep.
Carton is complaining about the elements and about
Yep.
stuff. You sound like Ryan Day or Gene Smith on the first round of the NCAA playoff game. Now you're
Nah,
like,
I didn't say that I didn't like playing it. I said I hated it. There's a difference. I don't mind playing it because we both got to play, but it's like when you've got like Ted Ginn and Gonzo and Troy Smith, like, and it's freezing, crazy rain and snow and sleet, like, you know, you're gonna have to run the ball. So basically, those guys are going to be out there just doing nothing all game, stock walking. But I didn't mind playing in it because both teams got to play in it. And again, like, if you want like good old fashioned Big Ten football, that's where it is. Like, I mean, every now and again, you'll see these games in college football, and it makes college football great where they got to play in some tropical depression. I think it was Notre Dame played like NC State a few years ago. And it was like the remnants of some category 4 hurricane. And they literally couldn't throw the ball because it was raining so hard. It was so windy that it was impossible to throw it. And they'd punt the ball and the ball would stick like a javelin in the ground. And like, I love just random games like that. Like when you watch like the Snow Bowl or the Patriots game with Charles Woodson and it's in those crazy elements. Like, I love that kind of football because the biggest thing I love about it is I don't have to play in it. I just sit there on the couch and watch it. And I was like, man, that looks really miserably cold. Man, that looks terrible. But it's fun to watch. Like, I think it just adds a little bit of spice to the game as opposed to everything being cool and calm and climate controlled. And that's like the thing that makes football special is that they play in that stuff. Like in the NBA, NHL, baseball, like when it's raining and stuff, they don't play. They, you know, obviously it doesn't rain indoors for the indoor sports, but like in baseball, like they don't play in freezing rain. Like football is the only thing where the show goes on. No, as long as there's not lightning, you know, they're putting the ball on the ground and they're going. So I loved it. Now I didn't say that like it's not optimal, but it is something where both teams got to adjust. And again, it forces you to be a tough physical outfit because I mean you got to run the ball.
I'm going to the Grove and I'm changing your trade to Mean Gene Barton. That's what I'm changing the name to.
Big soft pudding boy, pudding express.
Oh my God. You're like Kool-Aid Man now. What happened to you? You used to be tough.
I'm soft. I'm old. I don't like being cold. Give me all I say. You know what I say when it's cold? Give me another vat of hot cocoa and just throw it on the tab. Throw it on put it on the Stickney tab. Thank you.
Oh
so anyways, it's like, but I'm just saying for me, I don't know. Like I don't know. Whatever. You can call me soft. I'm older now. When I was young and hard, it was a lot different. But now it's like when it's cold, man, I like being in my house. I know I'm soft. You can say it. It's fine.
Pudding pop, man. I'm telling you. What happened to you?
Hey, I'm just saying. In the olden days, I was about that life. Now I like climate controlled. I like heated. You know, I just put in a fan in my garage because it got a little too hot. So I put the fan on. So I feel good when I'm working out. It's great. So hey, that's why we're a little later today. I was building a fan. So I'm sorry about it. Speaking of being a fan, KJ Bolden. This is the guy I probably feel the least good about between us, Georgia, visited Auburn. These kids love going on visits because a lot of these kids get paid to go on visits under the table, which makes it a little bit more fun to go on a visit. He's a factor, man. I'm gonna put his tape on while we talk about him. We've been on a tear. I feel good about Houston. Feel good about Dylan Stewart, but this is the guy. Like we whiffed on Caleb Downs last year, who would have been fantastic. This guy might be the best player in the country. How are you feeling about KJ Bolden? He's coming up on August 5th. Like, we got like this rapid fire terror of commitments coming up where it could either make us maybe the greatest class of all time or just a top 5 class, which is still fine. But how do you feel about KJ Bolden?
I think he's going to be a great Bulldog. But no,
you start barking into the microphone.
Yeah, I think he's going to Georgia. But look, this has been wacky. We fully admit that recruiting now is different than it's ever been before. And guys that we used to think that we had a handle on, maybe you do have a handle on, maybe you don't have a handle on. Things can change in an instant. So, maybe this is one of those ones that we have kind of that upset victory and Ohio State comes in. Because I'm telling you, Ohio State still feels like they're in the game. Whether that's right or whether that's wrong or whether they're delusional or whatever, they still feel like they're in the game. So could there be an upset? Absolutely. Am I rooting for it? Oh, it would be glorious if it happened. Do I think it's going to happen? Don't think it's going to happen. Do I know it's not going to happen? No, I don't know it's not going to happen. So that's where I'm at on Bolden. I'm probably not as optimistic as Ohio State is about it, but hey, they still feel like they're in the game, so let's go.
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen. I hate going against Georgia when he's Buford. He's from Georgia. They've got the best defense in the country, but um, I agree with you. See, Sue says, wait till you're 64, Kirk. See, so Sue's getting softer too. The only person getting tougher around here is Nevada Buck as he gets older. Paul, what's up, man? Sue agrees on Georgia as well. Sue's one of our best regulars. She's always on here. Yeah, I don't know. This would be a miracle if we pull this kid, but hey, weirder things have happened, especially in recruiting. Why? I mean, do you think that all of the drama now is strictly because of upping the ante for NIL? Or do you think kids are different now? I mean, I think it's a pure NIL play when these kids like go back and forth and they take 60 different visits and they go to the same place 12 times like they haven't ever been there before. Do you think it's an NIL play, Nevada?
I think that's certainly an element in it. I think it's a product of social media and kind of the adulation that you get from social media, and you can kind of get from this. There's definitely an NIL component to you make yourself more marketable when this stuff happens. And as you said, there can be direct compensation as a result of taking these visits and making these trips. It used to be, you know, Jeremy Pruitt and the Chick-fil-A bags or the McDonald's bags or whatever it is full of money that he did it for the kids. He did it to protest the
Oh my God.
injustices that were happening across the country. But
That was the best
I mean,
ever.
wasn't that the best? That was the best. It's like what? What did he just say? Did he just say that? He just said it. But
It's hard. It's hard being a white man in modern society. I'm like, yeah, you're making like $6 million to coach football. Tell me about how hard it is, Jeremy Pruitt.
I know.
You
I felt
idiot.
so bad about the injustice. I decided to shove money into a McDonald's bag. No, was it
Oh,
McDonald's or was it Chick Fil
it
A
was
or was it
Chick-fil-A,
McDonald's?
man. They're in the South, man. You got to bring out the Chick-fil-A. They can't respect you
Yeah.
knowing McDonald's, you know.
Yeah. I guess Chick Fil A does that does kind of say it, but I mean,
Huh.
look, I think anymore, throughout the history of doing recruiting, kids have done the hat dance, the back dance, the whatever the pump fake. We've seen moms and dads disappointed. We've seen little kids break out and crying in tears. So I just think we just see more of it with social media, and it's probably enhanced with social media. But hey, it's probably always been this way. It's just we're probably more aware of it than ever.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the awareness is higher just because it's not just the kids that have social media. The moms and dads have social media. Some of the dads are absolutely crazy and nuts, and they're kind of more like agents than fathers. Which again, it's whatever. I don't really care because I don't have to deal with it. But it makes for a lot of entertainment for us. But man, some of these dads, I mean, and uncles, man, they got those palms out ready to get them greased, and it's always entertaining. That's why I like. I mean, predicting recruiting right now is probably the hardest thing of all time because if the bag just gets overloaded by some other school, then like Marquise Lightfoot, that kid was in the bag for Ohio State, done, and then the Life Alert, Life Wallet, or whatever showed up. What are you doing, boy? You supposed to be in bed, boy. Sorry, I've got a little toddler in here. My little canester just got out of bed. We just turned his thing into a bed. Go back to bed, buddy. Sorry for the interruption, guys. Live television, can't beat it. But no, I just think that. And what's your take on the Miami deal right now with Life Wallet and their valuation was however much, and now it's like 3 cents. Do you think we're still out on Lightfoot? I think I keep calling JoJo Trader Lightfoot like every day because I mean that well's going to dry up fast, man. The feds are investigating Diaz.
Well, everything's going to blow up, and that's Fletcher. That's anybody who's got an NIL deal around Miami right now has got to be scared to death because we know how quickly this was all Ruiz playing with the money. Everybody was in on the joke. Everybody knew this was a scam. Everybody, everybody down in Miami, everybody down in the deep South, everybody across the country that follows this for a living knew that this guy was a con man. And now the feds are in on the thing. The con's up. Whenever you see these guys playing like that, you always know that there's something weird. And this was no different. It's the same story over and over and over again. And if I'm a player and I've been promised stuff from Miami, it's there's a high likelihood it's not going to happen. So if that was the reason you made that decision, that's the reason you went to Miami, like Lightfoot, you better reconsider because that money's not going to be there. Because I'm telling you, The guy's going. He's going to the pokey. He's going away. He's all the money, all the stuff. It was all just a big scam, and it's going bye bye.
Yeah, and I mean, guys like Samson Okunloa, I mean, I can't imagine how much he got from the guy, but they write these numbers down on pieces of paper. Then when it all goes poof, I mean, you got to reevaluate. Because I can't take kids seriously that go to Miami at this point. I mean, they got ran off the field by Duke last year at home. Like Duke beat them by 3 touchdowns or something crazy. I was looking at that. I'm like, how could you ever go to the U right now? I mean, I get that. I think their coach is good, but it's just, man, when you're down there, man, and you're in that environment and it's party central, I mean, it's just it's like a swirl of death. I mean, it's hard to, you really better love football and be locked in, man, because every bad thing in the universe is at your disposal within 5 minutes of Coral Gables. So, again, and these kids that are going down there, from outside of South Florida to chase the bag, man, it's a culture shock. And, those are the kind of teams that they're just like a powder keg ready to go boom. Because when all of a sudden you go 8, you go 4-8, or, you hit that slump, kids are hitting that portal, man. And they're calling Auburn, they're calling Florida State, they're calling Georgia, they're calling Ohio State. I mean, and again, this portal, it's really tough, man, because these kids at the first sign of adversity, man, they're jumping on the first Uber out of town and they're heading right to the airport and heading somewhere else. It's like with Kenyatta Goodwin, the big tackle that was from Kentucky, leaves Kentucky. He goes to Kentucky. Everyone's like, oh my God, how could Ohio State miss on the kid? Gains 100 pounds, goes over 400 pounds, transfers to Florida. He's at Florida for 3 months, transfers back home. I mean, I don't know. I mean, is that kid going to make it? I mean, he was a high 4-star, maybe. I don't think he was a 5-star, but 6'8", giant kid. It was the end of time when we didn't get the kid. And then he's kind of lost in the world right now. He's gonna be on his 3rd school in a year. So, that's kind of the mentality of these kids, because they chase the bag, they chase the wrong things. They don't, if you're a kid and you're serious about football, your number 1 ambition should be the NFL. Number 2 should be to graduate with a good degree so you can have a livelihood after the NFL. But, you want to go somewhere where you're going to develop, and you got to go somewhere where you can get as much stability as there possibly can be. It's hard because you come to Ohio State, man, and you're an O-lineman. Justin Fry wants to be a head coach. That's not a secret. His dad was a coach for a long time. That Indiana job comes open. Justin could be on the first thing smoking out of town. Brian Hartline wants to be a head coach. There's some ambitious guys on this staff. So
wait a second. Doesn't Justin Fry have to accomplish something before he becomes the head coach?
If he's the offensive coordinator this year, he's going to be. I think he has a bigger role than people expect. What? I'll let you talk.
Justin Fry's the offensive coordinator? No, Justin Fry is not the offensive coordinator.
I think he's gonna have a lot of input in the running game. I think Justin's forgotten more about football than Brian Hartline will ever know. I think at this point.
But dude, right now you got to land at least one recruit, man. You got to land one recruit. You can't just waltz into head coaching jobs. At least be an elite recruiter. Hartline, for all of his personal demons and all the other stuff that goes on with Brian, he's an elite recruiter. He's a recruiter at the absolute tip-top highest level.
Zenith.
The zenith. And that will get you a lot of runway with a lot of teams around the country that are trying to dip into some of that Heartline magic. But with Justin, I love him. He's great. The kids love him. He can point to the field and say, my daughter says we're going to run, and they run right there and they make it, and la. But I just want him to accomplish something before we start talking about him as a head coach, because in my opinion, hasn't done much. Not saying he's bad, just saying he hasn't done much to be in the conversation to be a head coach somewhere. That's just my Nevada Bucks personal opinion, but that's probably because I'm old and still cold from the 2007 Michigan game.
It only takes a little stretch for everything to change. Nobody in the universe had ever heard of Ryan Walters or whatever his name is. The guy's the head coach of Purdue now. Because I'm not saying Justin's up for the Georgia job. I'm saying he's up for Indiana, the worst job in the Big Ten, probably. I mean, Ryan Walters, they almost beat Michigan, and their defense is good. I mean, their defense was actually really good last year. Illinois was, and he gets the Purdue job. Because Braum leaves and goes back home, and that comes open, and nobody ever heard of that guy. It's kind of like timing is everything, man. I mean, if if we catch a heater and we get in the playoffs and O-line does good, which I think, do you think the O-line will be good this year, or do you think they're going to be a disaster, or somewhere in between?
I think the O-line's going to be good every year, and I don't think this year's going to be any different. And the O-line's going to be I think the O-line's going to be surprisingly good.
Is that because of good coaching?
No, I thought the line was really good last year, but I heard people talking about, oh no, there was a time we didn't get third down, so they're not very good. I'm like, guys, nobody gets third down every time. It's like that. There's a lot of things go into that. Are you running constraint? What other plays are you running to set it up? How much deception do you run? Are you running into a mass front? Blah 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 blah.
Is your best running back have a destroyed foot?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that go into this, but no, I think Ohio State offensive line is going to be good. I think Justin's fine. I think he's fine. On a scale of 1 to 10, I rate Justin the same as I rate the Barbie movie. Okay, now I went to see the Barbie movie, and I thought it was fine. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It had nothing to do with patriarchal roles or male or conservative values or. I just didn't think it was all that funny. I thought it was fine, and it was good, just like Justin. Justin's the Barbie movie. That's just my opinion.
So he's a blockbuster? He's the number one movie in America? Did it take out Oppenheimer?
To guys like you, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like that, he's better. Yeah, he's better than.
It's the number one movie in America. I didn't say it was better than The Dark Knight.
It just wasn't that great. It wasn't. I'm telling you. Let's people put in the comments right now. Did you go see the Barbie movie? Did you think it was great? Were the laugh out loud funny little lines? Was it as good as Tropic Thunder? Was it as good as Animal House? Was some comedy classic or anything like that? Or was it just fine? It was just fine. It was like when you go to Outback Steakhouse. When you go to Outback Steakhouse, don't you leave there kind of going, man, this was fine. That blooming onion. After about the first 6 pounds of blooming onion, I got sick of it, and I'm just done. It's a dressing delivery device. I think Justin Fry is just fine. I'm not going to try to go off too far. We'll just get back on topic, but I think Justin Fry is just fine.
Okay. The line, camp starts up on Thursday. I mean, I think the line is the story of camp at this point. I think that they're going to be going against the best. I think that, maybe Georgia has a better front, but I don't know, man. You get Mike Hall and Tyreek. I mean, if they get those guys going, man, that's going to be a really hard front to go against. And I mean, I know that they left a lot of meat on the bone. I know that JT and Jack aren't anywhere near their potential. I think it's weird how much, that outlier game against Penn State has really upped JT's national persona, where he's this national player of the year candidate and all this. And again, I also think that his recruiting ranking, being the number one recruit, is huge for that. And I watched 7 of his games, and he's a very good player. But I mean, he left a lot of meat on the bone. And production-wise, it really wasn't there. You take the Penn State game out, not a lot of statistical production. Comparing him to the greats, the Will Smith, Chase, the Bosa's, in terms of sack production, getting the quarterback on the ground, havoc plays, forced fumbles, tackles for losses. There just wasn't a lot of them. And I don't know if it's because, they didn't rotate him, or he's just ineffective, or he just bull rushes all the time. But I'm really excited to see that matchup. I think the O-line, D-line, match is going to be a war. And these O-line guys better eat their Wheaties. Because, I mean, last year, these guys weren't going against JT and Jack. They're going against, the backups. But, Paris and Dewan are gone. They're off to the league. So these tackles are going to have, it's going to be trial by fire for these guys, which is good. I mean, it's good to see who can block these guys. And I think it'll be interesting to see how it affects the quarterback battle because, you're Kyle McCord, you're with the ones. That's great. But, you're going to be going against JT and Jack and Mike Hall. So, I mean, those guys are going to probably be getting pressure. And can you move the pocket, throw on the run under duress? Because, I mean, when you're going against Mike and Tyleek and those guys and JT and Jack, there's going to be duress. So it'll be interesting to see how he does versus the duress versus how Devin Brown does versus duress. Obviously, Devin Brown's a much better athlete. He's much quicker. He's a guy that moves. He doesn't stand there like a statue. And that's a direct quote from people in the Woody Hayes is he's not a statue, which is inferring that Kyle McCord is a statue. So that's just something to watch, something I'm kind of fascinated by. Nevada, do you think that matters? See, I've lived it, and I've seen guys that they want to stand there and they get like this tunnel vision throwing it, and then they get whacked. And I think sometimes wearing that black jersey can be something that it's a hindrance to these guys because they feel more protected than they would. Now, granted, the first 3 games we're playing Patsies, Indiana, Youngstown State, Western Kentucky, whoever the third game is. I mean, it's going to be awful, but you go to ND. I mean, they'll have some guys. I mean, they're not going to be great. They don't have any ferocious guys. Like the Foskey guy last year was real good. He's a second round pick to the Saints. But what is your read on that? Because it's always intriguing. Obviously, expect Kyle McCord to be the day one starter. But it'll be interesting to see how much Ryan Day and Corey has to mix up the reps with the first team O-line and the 2 different quarterbacks, just to see how these 2 guys do.
Well, I just want to see McCord throw the ball. I mean, like I'm not convinced that he's going to be the guy. I mean, I'm not saying the starter, but I'm talking about the finisher. And I want to see him throw the ball. I want to see him come out and throw the first 10 passes and have the ball kind of explode out of his hand and deliver the ball on time and on the money and not skip the passes across the thing or throw right in the coverage and have some pick by John Kerr's grandkid that's playing linebacker for Indiana or something like that. I don't know if he can throw the ball. I mean, I know that's a heck of a thing to say, but I want to see it. I'm from Missouri on that one. I want him to be good more than anything in the world. I really do. Because I think it's better for Ohio State if McCord's the guy. I always like to have the veteran guy, even have the guy that just has another year in the program, older guy, chemistry with Marvin Harrison. Nothing against Devin Brown, nothing against Lincoln, but I think it's better for Ohio State if Kyle McCord's the guy, but he's got to be the guy. And I think we'll know really quick. I don't think it's going to take long. I don't think it's going to take you being a quarterback whisperer or having some sort of advanced aerodynamics degree to be able to. I think we're going to be able to tell right away, can he throw the ball? And I think it's an open question right now, but I can't wait to see the answer.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that one of the things I'm critical of Ryan Day is the fact that we don't pull the starters early enough because we're so obsessed with padding our stats and getting CJ like his 5th touchdown when he doesn't really need that. And I mean, I'd much rather get those 2s in there and run the offense. I mean, we used to do that. Like, I mean, I don't even like to say his name out loud because it always brings up some great conjecture, but Tate Martell, like 10 for 10 throwing the ball in his one relief appearance with Urban. And I thought that was great because, he's running the offense. He's not just handing it off and rolling out or, he's literally running it. Even when we're up by, 40 points, like you still got to get those guys out there. You got to get the receivers involved, get them their first catch in front of their mom and dad and, their parents or their girlfriend or whoever flew up from Georgia or Florida or wherever to watch them play. Like, get those kids involved. Let them feel good. Like, don't, you don't need to drag the starters in until the middle of the 4th quarter because you want to get, the 5th touchdown. It's almost ridiculous sometimes. But that's his thing. That was an Urban thing. Urban was always about padding the stats for the Heisman and that kind of stuff. And I think it's stupid because I don't think you can build depth by doing that. But again, what do I know? We'll figure it out this year. I think what kind of split do you think we see week 1 between Kyle McCord and Devin Brown? Obviously, you can change this as we get into camp. Do you think it's going to be all Kyle McCord, no Devin Brown? You think Devin gets a series at any point, or is it just flat out Kyle McCord until we die on the road in Indiana?
No, I think they'll have he'll come in for the 4th series type of package for Devin Brown, but I think it's going to be basically the Kyle McCord show. I think that I think Ohio State wants him to be the guy as well, and they're going to give him every opportunity to do so. And that would be my hunch. Now watch Ryan shuttle in every other play and have him running in and off the sideline or something like that. And I'll be like,
Steve,
boy, I was
Steve
wrong.
Spurrier.
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh,
Boy, I was wrong on that one. But no, we'll
ugh.
know a lot more come fall camp. But that's what I would bet. I bet it'd be like fourth series, fifth series. It's going to be yours, Devin. But it's going to be pretty much the Kyle McCord show until it's out of reach, and then Devin will come in and hand off, and we'll go, oh wow, McCord threw for a lot of passes. What Devin? We don't really know anything about Devin because I think your first point was such a good one. I hate that. I hate that McCord's been here this long and we still don't have any idea what we have. And I think there was plenty of opportunity to at least have an idea. I'm not saying it would be definitive. I'm not saying it would be determinative of anything, but at least it would be a data point. And we just don't know, and that's on Day. I think that's a mistake by Ryan. I think that's kind of a part of his maturation as a head coach, but yeah, I think that's been across the board. We haven't seen a lot of the backups, and I think it's been to Ohio State's detriment.
Yeah, I mean, he started that Akron game like 2 years ago in 2021. Do you remember like early in the season when we're like CJ's like getting like a soft benching because his shoulder? Do you remember he used to like roll his shoulder after like every play? And I used to be like, why does he do that? Is he like insinuating that his shoulders are dinged up? And
No,
we had some.
no, Kurt, you know this better than anybody. You know the story better than anybody. But we could do an entire podcast on this. But when Quinn Ewers came to Ohio State, the person who got Quinn Ewers to enroll early at Ohio State was Ryan Day, because Ryan Day was not sold on C.J. Stroud as the quarterback. He wasn't sure how hard he could coach him. He was concerned that C.J. didn't have a father, a constant father figure in his life. Wasn't sure how hard he could get on him. Wasn't sure how he was going to respond. Thought Quinn Ewers was an insurance policy in case CJ couldn't get the job done. Now, as it turned out, CJ was great. That year was great. The next year was great. He goes really high in the draft. But the Quinn Ewers story was about Ryan Day not sure about what he had at quarterback. And so when CJ used to kind of flex the arm and they brought Kyle McCord in, there was a lot of question of who was going to be the starting quarterback that back in the day. The CJ thing hadn't been determined, and certainly in terms of the minds of a lot of Ohio State fans, it was an open competition. But Quinn Ewers was very much a part of that until he wasn't, and then he was gone. And boy, I wish we had him now, because if we had him now, we'd probably be on the expressway to the national championship.
Yeah, it would be the preseason number ones. It'd probably be unanimous, but it is what it is. Whatever. Got a super chat, D Sunny, as always. Appreciate you, my man. Will there ever be a time that we regret not waiting for Donovan Edwards? My Michigan fans will never stop talking about him versus Travion. God, that's hard. Just because Travion got hurt, it's like when a guy gets hurt, after what Travion did his freshman year, I'd say no way ever. And obviously he torched us, for those long gains when Blake Corum was out. But I don't know. That's tough. I mean, you can't take them both. And I mean, Travion was so good as a freshman; it was like unbelievable. I mean, he broke the freshman rushing record. So it wasn't like people weren't thinking he'd be like the next Saquon Barkley. My biggest question with Travion, honestly, is how hard is he going to run this year now that he's a draft eligible junior? Is he going to be a guy that just forgets it and runs like Ezekiel Elliott did as a junior? Or is he going to be a guy that runs like some of these other guys I've seen as juniors that have projected to be first and second round picks, and they kind of run out of bounds, dodge the hits, slide, take it easy. Like they kind of just puss out. And I've seen that, and I hate it. But, again, you see the economic reality of these running backs in the NFL, man. These guys are trying to make it and not get blown up in college so they can sign at least one good contract. But what are your thoughts on that, Nevada? I think I know where you're going to go with it, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, first of all, Henderson is the most violent running back on the team, and to a fault. I mean, watch Trey finish runs. He runs through guys every time, and when he should be running out of bounds, or when he should go down, or as tough as mine is, man, Trey runs hard and runs through tacklers. And in terms of the two running backs right there, Edwards and it's not close to me. It's not. Henderson is good. Edwards is fine, and it's great. He's not as good as Travion Henderson. He's just not. And I think this year we'll see more of that. I think by the time they get to the NFL, we'll look back on this conversation. We'll kind of chuckle about, hey, remember the time when Michigan guys thought that, about how great the guy was, a couple of long runs, and what was that guy's name? And yeah, we'll go through that. But Trey Henderson is an elite running back. He's an elite running back at this level. He'd be an elite running back at the next level. And no, for me, I don't think it's all that close.
I agree. Like I think Trey is the best running back in college football this year. If he's healthy and they feed him, they let him get in a rhythm, and he's motivated. Because again, his freshman year, he was an absolute werewolf running the ball. And it's like again, but we'll see. Like I mean, I'm really excited to see, is he going to be a warrior or is he going to turn it down? And it's nothing as Trey. It's just that's just a fact pattern with junior draft eligible running backs. Like some of these guys. And I think that part of his motivation is last year was kind of a lost year for him. He was hurt, nagging injuries. He's got to have a big, healthy year to kind of, put the capstone year on his career at Ohio State so that he can be in that Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan territory where he's a weapon and he's a guy that can run and catch the ball. This is a great question, Brass. I know we're both going to go with this one. Appreciate you always being on here, my man. Which quarterback, Nevada, is going to have more yards and TDs throwing to a Buckeye? I know exactly who you're going to go with. Geno Smith, Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, or Taylor Heineke?
It's Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers and Garrett
Not
Wilson.
even close.
Not even close. Man, they're going to light it up, man. I'm telling you. Jets, Jets. I'm all over the Jets. As big a Packer fan, now I'm a Jets fan, rooting hard for them. I think they're going to be a lot of fun. They're going to be a lot of fun to watch. The great defense paired now with that offense. You look at that offense, and they just got weapons galore, and they're going to be tough to beat. I'm telling you right now.
Is Rodgers now the best leader in the NFL? I mean, he took a $35 million pay cut, so they could potentially get Devontae Adams at the deadline, and they could get Dalvin Cook. He defended Nathaniel Hackett from kind of a crazy deal with Sean Payton. I know that's your guy. I love Aaron Rodgers. Is he the best leader in the league at this point?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, you look at what this guy's done to this entire organization with the Jets. I mean, the Jets were kind of sad sack, kind of moping along, and all of a sudden Rodgers comes and, it's like it's energized the entire franchise. And there's very, very few guys that could do that. You know what I'm saying? So, for him to do that and have that kind of impact on, but now you got to do that on the field. It's all talk until they do it in the field, but I think you're going to see it. And, I'd heard the stuff about Rodgers. People, it's about money for Rodgers. I'm like, guys, it's not about money. It's about respect. Dude. The Packers never respected him the way they should. And now he goes to New York and he's like, I'll give up the money. It's not about the money. He's got more money than he'll ever spend in 7 lifetimes. It wasn't about the money. It was about, please respect me. Please share my voice. I've earned that for my 18 years here in Green Bay, and they just never got it. That never resonated with them, and I never understood that.
I mean, he's like a $35 million pay cut that he didn't have to take just so they can go out and get pieces. And the terrifying thing about him is he's a cold weather guy, man. I mean, he's got to play in Buffalo and New England in that division, and that's not going to face him at all because he's used to Lambeau where it's colder than, Antarctica, basically. This is a great question. As an O-line coach, appreciate this, Troy. Which drills would you really focus on to improve this O-line group based on what you saw in spring? Man, I would really work their hands. I think that their hands have been poor. They were poor last year, even with Paris. I mean, Donnie, like these guys have got to be better with their hands, especially in run fits. I watched the tape, man. These guys get jacked back constantly because their hands are too wide. They don't refit their hands. The thing that people don't realize, like with offensive line play, the feet are obviously incredibly important, but the hands are just as important. You let these D linemen get their hands in your chest, man. There's nothing you can do. And that happened way too many times. And it happened at critical spots last year. I mean, when we needed 10 yards to beat Georgia and win the national title, I mean, they're pushing us in the backfield, and it was because of our hand place. It wasn't because of a lack of talent. I mean, Donnie Jackson is projected to be a first-round pick, and if I could coach him and say, let's just really focus on your hands today. Focus on your hands. Get their hands off you. You got to stare it. You got to get the target. I mean, again, I don't know what they do, but I know what their deficiencies are because I watched 8 of their games last year, like live coaches film. I did it a couple weeks ago just to kind of freshen up on my mind, and that's a big deficiency for them. I think obviously the pass protection from the tackles is going to be huge. But again, the thing that I swear that's going to drive me nuts if we don't do is if we don't help the tackle. There's going to be one tackle that's going to be better than the other tackle. It's always like that. You always have, usually your left tackle is your better one, whatever. It could be the right year. I mean, this year, but help the guy that's the lesser guy, move the protections around, call different protections, and that's something that I hope Ryan Hartline's ready to do if he truly is the play caller. Because if we have one tackle this weaker, there's a lot of things you can do to help that guy out and make his life a lot easier, just so he's not hung out to dry. Because the problem with offensive linemen, something that no one ever talks about is the confidence part is so critical to these guys. Because I've seen really good players go in the tank because they get waxed and they give up a couple sacks and people send mean tweets at them. And I tell these guys, I'm like, look, you guys are idiots for being on Twitter and Instagram. Because I know that you guys want all this adulation and all these fans to love you and like your dumb photos and stuff. But those same people are going to be really nasty to you if you suck. You get beat, you don't play well, you get stopped on third down, whatever. And these guys, like, they just don't get it. I'm like, guys, do not give these guys access to your mental. And the final layer on this is, if we beat a team but we don't cover, because gambling is now legal in Ohio. And that is going to be fascinating to see how nasty people are towards these kids when they don't cover the spread. Because people will be betting on these guys, and fans, they're not just going to be happy with the win if we don't cover. So that'll be something that'll be interesting to watch. That's a great question. Is Julian Fleming cracking 1,000 yards? I don't know. I don't think so. Nevada, can Julian Fleming hit 1,000 yards receiving?
I mean, can he? Sure. Will he? I don't think so.
No.
Just not enough footballs to go around.
Yeah, I mean, if Emeka and Marvin are doing 1,000, and then Cade Stover's at 400 or 500, and Trey's got to get his, and then you've got, Jaden Ballard and Carnell and Ennis and Mayan. I mean, there's only one football, guys. So if we have 3,000-yard receivers, it'd be amazing. I mean, obviously we did it a few years ago, but I don't think we didn't have as much depth at tight end or running back when we did it a few years ago. So, I think that if we're smart, if Ryan Day's smart, we're going to run the ball more and take some of the heat off Kyle McCord and really take some heat off the offensive line, because offensive linemen love running the ball. I mean, I'm just telling you, they like to be the enforcer, the instigator, the guy that's come off the rock and punish guys and develop those cumulative blows that wear teams down. Again, we looked great in the first half against Michigan, and they're running the ball and they're getting stumped, but slowly we just wore down, and finally we just popped, and they're breaking off those long ones because guys are getting beat. They're getting beat down for 3-4 quarters, and that's how it works. It's so different than boxing. You hit body blows for the first 6-7 rounds, and then the guy's beat to death, and all of a sudden you hit the headshot, and he's dead. So same thing. Let me see. Eric says, Nevada, you're spot on about Justin Fry. Do some great things with the O-line. Nevada is taking his victory lap right now. Brass X, I know, the knock on PJ, I love PJ, and PJ's got Hall of Fame NFL upside, but, he could have been better. I mean, his hands were better, but his athleticism is just absolutely crazy. And he's super young. He's only 20, so he'll be fantastic. Okay. Why can't you sub O-line like other positions if the blocking assignments are part of the play call? That is a great question. I don't know. I mean, that's something where in the past I've been a part of lines where they would sub guys in, maybe give a guard like the third series of the game, maybe a tackle. I mean, ideally you don't want to sub your O-line. You want to have a cohesive five, just because you do build cohesion with your guard next to you, a center next to you. Like, there's a lot of feel that goes into that. So obviously you'd like to keep the same five guys out there, but that's an optimal situation. I don't know if we're going to have an optimal situation, because I think that we've got 7 or 8 guys that can play, and sometimes you got to see how they do in a game, because practice is a lot different from the games. Like, I said that one time, and Tress got mad at me because I said it in a press conference, because I was talking about Troy and Justin. I was like, practice is one thing, and everyone was like, oh, you got to practice great to play great. And I was like, well, I saw guys that were terrible in practice that ended up being really good in games, and I saw some guys that were great in practice and they sucked in the games. So, I mean, sometimes you just got to go see what a guy can do in a game, and see if he's a gamer. Which, again, I know that, like, Coach said, oh, you can't be a gamer. I don't believe in that, but I've seen it. So I know that there's some guys that when the lights come on, they're ready to rock, and they're just better players. I don't know if they're more excited, they're more relaxed, they're excited to play in front of their mom, dad, whatever. But some guys just play better in the games. That's a great question. think we'll wrap this. God, this was a fast 45 minutes, Nevada. Any final questions? Appreciate you guys. Camp starts on Thursday, so we're going to get cranked up. Nevada, any final thoughts as we wrap up a fantastic show? Thank you guys for tuning into this.
No, I'm just looking forward to the battles, man. Looking forward to the obviously the offensive line, defensive line battles, but equally interested to see how this revamped secondary does against these great Ohio State wide receivers. That's going to tell us a lot. We're going to find out a lot about this Ohio State team right off the bat, and I can't wait. Off season's over, man. It's now we're into the good part. Let's go.
I love it. It's the absolute best time of the year. Football starts on Thursday. Browns are playing in the Hall of Fame game, so we can see our boy Dwan. So I'm super excited about that. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. Subscribe to BuckeyeScoop.com. If you guys love this show and love the interaction, it's the best. I'm just telling you, we have so much fun on our site. A lot of question and answers, a lot of stuff that we just did for the last 45 minutes. We do it all day on BuckeyeScoop.com. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. If you enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, and also click that little bell. A lot of you guys are doing that. Appreciate you, Sue, Brass Tax, all you guys being on here, all our regulars. You guys are the best. I appreciate you guys being on every night. So thank you for bringing great questions as always. And shout out where you're from. I love reading where you guys are watching from. A lot of Cleveland in here. Cleveland in the house. Cleveland, Florida, Georgia. God, we've had the Philippines, people everywhere, India. It's crazy. So we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, thank you, Scoop family, and thank you, Bucka Nation. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks.